Hello ladies and gentlemen, in this video I'm going to be showing how to make a lead interested in you which was able to buy me a Tesla at 15 years old. So, how do you make a lead interested in you and how are we going to apply it? So right now we're going to use the example for making leads interested in you on cold DMs. And why do I say making leads interested in you on cold DMs? Well, because simply it's probably the easiest, lowest effort way to be able to get clients in the door, essentially, or your name out there to other people. Because all you have to do is just send messages on social media platforms. It's super easy, and you can even use tools like ColdDM's Pro to automate this for you and even run more accounts, like run multiple social media accounts, multiple Instagram accounts, multiple X Twitter accounts to be outreaching all at the same time. So, back to it. How to make a lead interested in you. So, there's a few things that come to mind when making a lead interested in you, and I talked about this in actually a post that I made in our Telegram community, is you need to think of it from the perspective of the lead. So, let's make this a little bit larger here. So I'm actually just going to be writing notes like this, so it's kind of just raw, unfiltered me talking. So, we need to be able to basically understand how a lead thinks. So understand how the lead thinks. So this means you need to have a target ICP. So your ideal customer profile. So this can be really anybody. Like we could say our ideal customers, let's just say, fitness coaches. I use this example a lot, mainly because it's the easiest to convey to people. So I'm going to be using the fitness coaches example for this video, but it really is any ideal target or an ideal customer profile. Okay. So once we have the ideal customer profile, we need to understand how they think. So fitness coaches think different than brand owners. Brand owners think different than business people. Business people think different than just everyday people who are on Instagram. So all these people think differently. So that means you need to interact with all these people differently. You can't just use the same messages, the same profile branding, and the same strategy on everybody. It just won't work. And take it from experience, I run one of the largest cold DM tools out there, one of the highest quality, the best one out there. And I've seen hundreds and hundreds of thousands of DMs, and I know this is accurate without a doubt. So we need to understand how the lead thinks, right? So once we all have that, I have our ideal customer profile, we need to brand our profile. So brand profile. So this can be Instagram or X. And then we also need to have a good online brand image. And I'll explain this more later why we need that. And then the other one, we need social proof and business rep. So what do I mean by this? I'll start with this one right here, because that's the easiest one for people to understand. So what do I mean by this? I mean social proof and business reputation. This means, number one, blog posts, big social proof and business reputation. If I Google someone's name and some blog post comes up, a good landing page, maybe a review page, maybe a YouTube review, things like that make a big difference, and you don't understand how many leads that you can lose by not doing this. Because you might think on this whole process, you're like, why does this all matter, right? I mean, you get having, good brand profile, all this stuff, right? Yeah, that makes sense. But why do these other two matter? Because a lot of the times, maybe not in all niches, but a lot of the times people will go and Google you. People will go click your link in bio, and then they'll go do research on your brand. At least in the example of the fitness coaches, I find that as a common thing. If they're interested in your offer, and especially if you're direct pitching, they're going to look at who you are, because you just direct pitch someone. Let's just say, put right here, let's just say you direct pitch in DM. Let's just say you did this, right? Let's say you do this, and they open it, right? Okay, cool. So you got the first task done, they opened it. So this is when the other two come in play, because they're going to go research you. They're going to go look who you are. Because if you think about it in a sense, right? Like, let's just say one guy reaches out to you and he has done it for 200 plus businesses. He has video reviews. He has a good social profile, good business reputation. You Google him, he shows up. He's got a good LinkedIn, everything, all that's solid. And then you have somebody who doesn't have any of that, doesn't have any social proof, doesn't have anything related at all to reviews anywhere, even if it's just on their landing page, anywhere. So obviously those things are really, really going to stand out. I'm not saying you can't book calls, but you're going to find it a lot harder to do it. And it's just a lot easier, and you're going to get a lot higher conversions, which at the end of the day, you don't want to burn leads, because yes, there's tons and tons of leads out there, but ideally we don't want to burn them. So this is what I mean by that, right? So then I need to have a good online brand image, and this kind of ties into this one as well. These are both kind of the same thing. Like if I Google you, what shows up? Is your SEO good? Things like that. And like, is your landing page good? This is the most underrated thing that I think no one really does or applies, is your landing page should be simple and built for high converting, but also look great at the same time. A lot of people I see build landing pages like on these site builders, and they just look horrible, right? Like, if you're going to buy from somebody, you're not going to buy from somebody that has a horrible landing page. Like, a lot of the time, especially if they're just from a cold DM, no one's going to do that. No one's going to do that with bad copies, just those things like that. Use a template builder. Use Framer.com. It's like $20 a month. This tool is a lifesaver for landing pages. You can buy templates, use free templates, publish it out to your website, and you actually will look like a professional business. It's a game changer for a lot of people who are just starting out and don't have the ability to either A, custom code, or have the time really to develop it. I mean, I use Framer.com for all of my landing pages, and it's been amazing. I know multiple businesses that do, multiple high-profile SaaS companies that do use Framer. So that's this section here, right? So now we go over to the brand profile. So this is another important part that, again, really kind of matters on your target ICP. So for fitness coaches, I'm going to go for a brand profile that is probably going to have some fitness into it, obviously. And number one, have my face straight on to the camera, right? Like, you want your face to be very visible when DMing somebody. You also don't have cringy posts. Have some stories. Don't have a weird bio. Like, a lot of these things that, like, just think, you know, like sometimes, like some of these bios that I see are just so cringy, so just weird, you know, like have a good call to action. No, nothing wrong with putting your link in bio for your site, for your service. Nothing wrong with that. Have good posts. Have posts of yourself. Act like a real human. I'm gonna write this down. A lot of people don't do this. Act like a real human. You'd be surprised how much acting like a real human, and I'm actually gonna make this like large just to show the point. A lot of people don't do this, and it's kind of funny because we're all people, but like no one acts like a real human in DMs. I don't know why. They're all like just robots. Like, no. Even like with our AI setter, that's why our AI setter performs so well, is because it acts like a real human. It talks like a real human. It engages like a real human. Like, things like this make a huge difference that you don't even realize. And a lot of people are just so focused on making a sale, so focused on booking a call, that they forget to act like a real human and treat people like a real human. So back to the brand profile. You don't need a lot of posts. 6 to 7, enough to fill your carousel. Reels doesn't really matter, to be honest. It helps. Don't get me wrong. It helps. You can do that. I do recommend having pictures of yourself. If you have pictures of you at a business event, so I'm gonna write this down. Pics at a biz event. This is absolutely really, really good, especially stories too as well. And always have your real face in them. You can try and grab some pics from Pinterest. Like I'll put here, you know, like pictures from Pinterest, or, you know, I'll just say online, because you can really grab them from anywhere. You can do that. I don't recommend it. Use your real face, man. Like, just use your real face. It works a lot better. Or if you have a family member, if you have a girlfriend who's comfortable with that, things like that, use those pictures, because it's gonna, again, act like a real human, that's gonna influence it a lot more. So, the next part about how to make a lead interested in you is your actual message. So we'll go ahead and drag this down a bit, and we'll talk more about the actual, like, message. So, and we'll just say ColdDM here, because there's really two kinds of messages, at least that I see in my opinion. There's the convo message. So this is asking a question, and then I'll say an example. And so we'll say example, hey, do you offer coaching? And then there's the other type, which is basically direct, straight to the point. So, which is basically just like direct pitch, you know. Example, we help you convert more leads with our AI setter. So, I mean, this is just like a very, like, this is nothing like a real DM. Don't recommend setting this actually as a real DM. It's just an example of a straight to the point. So it's a direct pitch. So these are really the two types of cold DMs that you can run and do. There's other kinds that I've seen done. I only do these two, mainly because at the end of the day, I'm trying to get a customer. So these are the best two that I've seen. So we'll go down this first route, because I see a lot of people do both. So we'll go down this first route. So the convo message is basically asking a question, getting them to engage with you. This will boost your reply rates a lot more. I will say that. You will get a higher reply rate. Your reply rate really doesn't matter, in my opinion. It's more about your booked call rate. So how many DMs do I have to send to book calls? Reply rate, like, doesn't always matter all the time, because if you're doing this, they'll reply to you, but they're not going to book a call. Sometimes. Not all the time. So this is when you're going to probably want to pivot or ask more questions to see how good of a lead they are. So this is where you're going to ask pre-qualifying questions, essentially. So you're going to ask pre-qualifying questions, pivot, or you can pivot. I recommend asking pre-qualifying questions, because basically you don't want bad leads booked in. That's the number one thing in almost every single business that I run that has a book call or book demo link. Always ask a bunch of questions. So I get a notification when I book. So I use cal.com. So I'll just say cal.com right here. This tool is absolutely amazing if you're booking calls, way better than Calendly. So I get an email saying, here's the newest lead, reject or approve. So basically that's going to also filter those out if I don't get the pre-qualified questions good on here. I have another layer of defense, basically, on my cal.com. So you're going to ask those questions, pivot, and then you're going to, obviously pitch, your pitch, whatever your offer is that you have. Again, my advice on this, and getting your leads interested, act like a real human and test. No one knows exactly what's going to work. Now, I've been able to, try over and over again, so I kind of have an understanding of what works, because I've just done it so much. However, you just need to test. Like, at a certain point, even sometimes a message I think will perform good just does horribly, and then I test another message and it does really great. So things like that, you need to test, and you need to do those things. Just try it out. So once you do that, then basically we'll go ahead and move to this direct pitch approach, because this is where you're gonna then, you're going to book the call in, and then, you book call, right? So we'll put this down here, book call, and we'll just put it on. There we go. So the next one is direct pitch. So we have, again, ColdDM, we had conversational message, and then we had direct pitch. So a direct pitch basically is yes or no. Like, if they say yes, then you're going to ask pre-qualifying questions. So if yes, ask more. Yes, ask more questions. That's what you want to do. You always want to ask questions. So it's actually kind of funny. It's pretty much proven that asking more questions and gaining more info makes an experience better. So I'm going to put this right here, actually. Actually, I'm going to put this in the middle here because I think this is really important for basically both of these. And I'm going to put this here. So, why do I say this? Take a look at pretty popular apps that perform very well. So, a good example of a guy on Twitter, Cal AI, right? They have a long onboarding. Why can't you have not too long, but a decent amount of questions? It makes the experience feel way more tailored. Like, if you've ever stayed in a luxury hotel, you'll always notice that they apply something similar to this to make your experience even better, while making it simple and not overbearing. Because the one thing people don't want is too much friction, and they don't want to be wasting their time doing that. It's an instant turnoff. You want to make it smooth and seamless while making their experience better and asking questions. That's what I recommend. This is the best way to do it. Any other way, you're just missing out on leads. A lot of people have horrible book call rates simply because they're not doing this. This is not what they're doing. They're just either direct pitching and just sending booking links without cal.com or without, asking more questions to qualify them. Like, for example, do you speak English? What country are you from? Where are you located? Like, do you already have a good performing business? What do you have for your business? Things like this, number one, pre-qualify, but also will help you in the call to close people really easily. It's so easy when you have info on people because you know exactly what they want. So, basically, whenever you have this, right, okay, we're good. And then you'll just basically, again, here, put it down here. You basically just book the call. Very simple. Book the call. Make sure you have follow-up flows. I see so many people mess this up. Follow up multi-times before the call. This is like the most, out of this whole process is important, right? Everything I showed you is important. But to be honest, this is one of the most important things that I see completely ruined by everybody. No one follows up. 24 hours before a call, 3 notifications have hit my prospect. Also, 2 days before or 1 day before, they get a notification, they get an email, they get a text. I always make sure they do it or they try and rebook. If they can't make it, I want to know and I want them to rebook so that slot opens up, because if you're running this system correctly, you should be doing 100 plus leads a day in pipeline. Like, you should be doing that per day with this system. So you need to not have bad leads. Bad leads will waste you time. For example, an average call length for me and for ColdDM's Pro and our services that we also do, we don't run anything agency. It's SaaS only, pretty much is our only business right now. And we have multiple SaaSes. So for all of those, the calls are 20 to 30 minutes max. So, but I say that because imagine it's, 30 minutes of my day is just gone. Or 30 minutes of your closer's day is gone. And you're just wasting time. No good closer is going to want to come work for you if you're just having crap calls booked with just bad people. So no good closer is going to come work for you if you're doing that. Or you might get them and then they're just gonna leave. So we want to make sure we dial the system. So back to how to make leads interested in you. This is pretty much the complete system on making leads interested in you over an online presence. You can also, I'll put this in here. This is kind of like a bonus. Record Loom videos. I think, if you pay for a Loom subscription and, you're doing a lot of outreach, I think it's worth it, to be honest. I don't personally do it myself. I use Screen.studio. It's only for Mac, though. For some of you Windows users, that might not work. You can also use Cap is another really good one. However, these make it a lot more personalized and also make it a lot more real. So I recommend doing that. Don't send it off don't send this as initial. Don't send this as your initial thing. Don't do that. I usually see that doesn't really work. Depends on your niche. We're gonna stick with the fitness coaches niche. A lot of other ones, it doesn't really work. This is also different slightly between X and Instagram. You just kind of have to play with it. The whole system as its whole applies to both, though. So that's the entire system. Now, how do I actually apply the system, right? So I have a system in place. Now, what do I do with this system? So this is where the magic comes in. So we're gonna need to create a new note here, and we'll call it sending the actual DMs. So there's a few ways you can do this, right? So we'll say here, there's one way, which is manual. We're gonna put this in red because this is absolutely what you should not be doing if you're trying to actually run a business, because you're really limited to about 100 DMs on Instagram and a few hundred on X. That's not enough. Because figure, if you are getting, let's just say, out of 1,000 DMs or 10,000 DMs, one call booked, look how much time it's going to do. It's just going to take too long doing it manually. You might get lucky once or twice, but it's just not worth it. So now the other way, which is what I use and what I'm extremely good at and what everybody else in our community is extremely good at, is automating. Automating. We want to automate this. So how do we automate sending cold DMs? Automate cold DMs. Comes to the tool ColdDMs Pro. Write this down. Boom, ColdDMs Pro. So this is the tool right here that's going to basically let you take this entire system and just apply it with one click. Literally. You just download the Chrome extension and you press start and that's it. So that's all you have to do to be able to start sending DMs. Now, obviously, you need your leads first. You can check other videos and the guides on how to actually scrape fitness coach leads and get your leads. However, in my opinion, finding leads isn't necessarily most people's issue. Yeah, they might have the issue at first to how to scrape and do stuff, but when they actually do that, this just falls apart on them instantly. It just ruins their entire outreach instantly as soon as they get the accounts and outreach. So you're going to use ColdDMs Pro, boom, to outreach Instagram or X with one click. And then you're going to track. And this is something, you can use Airtable, Google Sheets. So track your results. Listen, you don't know what's working if you're not tracking it, or at least put it on your whiteboard. I have a whiteboard here. Put it somewhere, whatever you need. I recommend Airtable or Google Sheets. I do Airtable personally because I have a huge amount of contacts that I need to manage. So this is a really good CRM for me to be able to manage everything and track. But track your progress. Track what's working. Track what's working for your offer. Track every single DM. Even if you have to pay a VA to manually track DMs, our ColdDMs Pro does a pretty good job tracking everything. If you check it out, it's really, really good with tracking. Is ColdDMsPro.com. Basically, it's really good at tracking, but anyways, if you also manually track yourself, because especially when you book a call, track that. Everything you should be tracking. And a lot of people don't track it because they're just lazy. So don't be lazy with your business. Track. I know it's really hard not to be lazy and to not track, especially I made a tweet about this a couple days ago about how AI just made us more lazy and everybody wants everything automated. Sometimes you got to do the nitty gritty, at least for now, or pay somebody to do it for you to just track all of this. So, because you just got to track what works and write it down. Even if it's in the system, I recommend always keeping a separate database just so you can see it and compare it against other business things. So like, okay, how are my ads comparing to this? How is Facebook ads? How is Instagram ads comparing to this? How are my YouTube content comparing to this? Things like that are basically what allows you to grow in your business very, very fast and be able to track how much it's actually costing you and how you can scale effectively. So I hope this system helped you out with how to make a lead interested in you, and hopefully you can start getting 100+ leads a day in your pipeline. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I'm going to put this link in the description so you can start instantly with sending these leads out and getting them to your ideal customer profile.